Well, welcome back, my friends, all to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors, the PKS Kephart rendition. Now, listen, a couple weeks ago, I went to Rewild Outdoors gathering. Shaun put on an amazing gathering, and while we were there, Dave Canterbury and his group was there. So I walked over, Blackie Thomas walked over with me to introduce me to Dave, and I started checking out his knives, and I picked up, it's the PKS Kephart, that's what it is, and I'll put a link in the description. You can find it at Self-Reliance Outfitters. Now, the handle material is curly maple. It's 1095 blade stock, Scandi grind. I did an interview with Dave, so I'll also put that in the description. Here's the thing, guys. I am a Kephart freak. I love the Kephart, and a Kephart blade is kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, in a way. But then again, if you have the skill set, you can master several things. But it's made for utility use, right? Food prep, shelter building, whatever you can put your mind to. It's a drop point. Listen, let's go ahead and do the specs. We've got a 9 1/8 inch, 9 1/8 overall length. The blade length is right at 4 9/16, and we got about a 4.5 inch cutting edge. The inner grip, now that is the most important measurement on a knife to me. It's not to everybody, but it is to me. The inner grip is 4 1/4, so damn near any hand in the world can hold it. We've got a blade stock. I believe the blade stock's what, 1/8? Is that what we're looking at? Yeah, looking at 1/8. Again, it's Scandi ground. I enjoyed talking to Dave. I've followed Dave for a while, but really got to interview him and got to kind of hear his thoughts behind knife designing, knife making, etc. Now, I'm showing you here two of the toughest mediums I cut. On the left is that 1 inch inner diameter sandblast hose, 4-ply. On the right is that double jacketed fire hose, and I apologize for the long distance shot there on cutting that. I'll come back and cut that again. If you're new to the channel, here's what we do. I don't review knives. I'm not a knife reviewer. I am a knife tuber. Okay, we don't do anything scientific. I say this a lot because it's the truth. We just cut a bunch of shit up. Now, the way that I have formatted kind of my channel and what we do is we give you a look straight out of the box, right? I take it out, I use it, we look at overall sharpness, and let me park right there for a minute. This knife came very, very sharp, very well done. Here's the thing that's important when it comes to sharpness for me, okay? Yes, I can sharpen a knife. Yes, we can get it super sharp. That's not a point, not the point. If I'm spending money on a knife, and I did on this knife, it should come sharp out of the box. And let me tell you what that shows. It shows the maker's attention to detail. It just does. It's one of the things that shows the attention to, it's an attention to detail thing. They did a good job on this one. Now, JR's got, I believe, a Mountaineer. I'll be checking that out. Couple things with the Kephart, or with Dave's knives in general. He has a lifetime warranty. I was blown away by that. And I said, Dave, explain that. And he said, well, man, there's not much to explain. If my name's on it, I guarantee it. If it breaks, send it back. We'll send you another one. He also is one of the few people who will guarantee his knives with batoning. So we did a little bit of batoning, and we'll talk about that when we get there. The thing that I like about a Kephart, and the thing that I like about this Kephart, is it is a cutting tool, right? You can use it for camping, hunting, hiking. We talked about that earlier. The thing about this knife, from the time I picked this knife up, it was a vibe knife. Y'all know what that means. I fell in love with it instantly. I couldn't put my finger on why. I love a Kephart style. I love a drop point style, but I couldn't put my finger on it, right? when I was using it today, when I was working with it today, it hit me. What's the first thing we learn to cut? It's food. This knife, and I say this as a compliment, reminds me of a steak knife. Its weight, its balance, the whole thing. I think sometimes we overlook the significance of that. Now think about it. One of the first things you learn to cut growing up was your food. You're comfortable with a steak knife. And the weight, the balance, the whole thing, I was immediately comfortable with this knife from the time I picked it up. It has a really good 90-degree spine on it, as you see there. But comfort means a lot, and I was thinking about that today. Comfort means a lot because comfort can give you confidence. I'm comfortable with the knife. It's not super heavy. It's not weight forward. I don't have to figure out the balance. It's well balanced. Whatever my skill set will allow me to do, I can do with this knife. Now, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. A couple of my weaknesses in using a knife would be processing game and processing food. And anybody that follows the channel, watches the channel, know we don't do a lot with food on here. We just don't. I need to work on that. Processing game, skinning, caping, etc. I need to work on that because those are important aspects of the knife. Now, I was starting off to explain some stuff. Listen, if you're new here, here's what we do. We start off slicing paper. We cut a bunch of industrial mediums because I feel like if the knife will cut those mediums straight out of the box, it'll cut anything. Some of this stuff you'll never cut in your life. I'm well aware of that. But if the knife handles it, and this knife did, and listen guys, that's double jacketed. That's 2 plies of Kevlar with the inner sleeve in it. That's the second time I'd cut it with this knife, plus cutting sandblast hose, plus cutting ratchet strap, plus cutting a little bit of everything. We did all kind of stuff with the knife. And again, if you're new here, I'm not trying to sell you a knife. I'm not the damn QVC. That's not the goal. I want to give you an honest look at the knife. This is what you get coming out of the box. I'll tell you this. They use badger claw for the sheaths. I love the sheath. It's that nice soft leather, really good looking combination when you put the patina with the patina of the knife, with the curly maple, with the leather. It just looks badass. This is probably as close to an old school Kephart as you're going to get, right? The 1/8 inch diameter. Now, let me address the batoning. Do I baton in real life? It is super duper rare. Super rare. Living in North Florida with very, very high humidity, there are times I have to get some kindling, some tinder. If it had rained, or if it's just, you have to almost live here or live in a high humidity area to understand. There are times where you have to baton just to get to the dry wood. You do in North Florida, I promise you. But I don't do it a lot, and we've tapered that down. This knife handled that well. I will also say this. I use pine a lot in my demonstrations. That's what I have handy. I used to apologize for that. The more I've done this, the more I've come to understand this. If a knife waffles or chips or breaks during one of my reviews, that's a problem. Now, I'm not saying it's a problem with the company. I'm saying it's a problem with that knife because we don't use super duper and hard wood. And then I thought about it today. I've seen guys take and try to baton through black locust using a mallet. And when it chipped, they wanted to blame the knife. No, dude, that doesn't really tell anything to me. It really doesn't. Now, if you baton through some softer woods and it chips, well, now we've got a problem. The other thing with pine is it has a lot of the lighter knot in it, the knots in it. And so if you hit those, it can do some damage. Overall, I just like using pine. Here, we're going to strip some wire. I throw in some demonstrations and some stuff that I actually do at work. If we need to change a whip on or put a new plug in on an extension cord or something like that. There was a time I located underground utilities, so I would have to strip wire to chase the signal. do a little quick chop on there. Again, the knife held up very, very well. We didn't have any edge damage. We didn't have any rolling. We didn't have any chipping. Throughout this video, it held its edge very well. It stayed really sharp. It comes with a nice toothy edge, and Scandi grind tends to do that, right? Scandi grind's a really, really good grind for bushcrafting and things like that. I like a toothy edge. Regardless of the grind, I like a toothy edge. It helps for what I do with a knife. Will I carry the knife? Yes, absolutely. I actually bumped this knife up in the rotation of things to review because I want to carry it. And if you look at it there, man, it's just a great looking knife. It's just an old school knife. Here, we're peeling an apple or attempting to. One of the things, guys, is this channel also is a learning experience. I'm working daily on the skill set. I mentioned earlier some weaknesses. I need to start working more and more on that. I am a firm believer in using your knife daily. The more you use your knife, the more you get comfortable with it. Now, obviously, you always need to be careful. But the thing about this particular knife that I like is it's easy to use. It's user-friendly. It's user-friendly. 1095 again is a great choice. I feel like for a camp knife, field knife, it's very, very easy to sharpen or hone in the field. It gets a nice patina from use, so it will protect itself against that. It has a lot of benefits that I like. Plus, it's just, you know, those old school high carbon knives. It's throwback, it's nostalgia. The curly maple handle was really, really good. I did some light stabbing. Stabbing's probably the one thing that I didn't do a lot of here. I just didn't feel like it was necessary. We will stab some of that Kevlar fire hose here in a minute. I do that not to impress anyone with the penetration ability. I do that to see right there. I do that to see if there's any slip in the handle, to put some pressure on that tip. And you'll notice we only do like 6 to 8 inch punches. Again, the goal here is not to act like this is some major long form, long-term review. It's to show you could get this knife. This is what you get coming out of the box. And I'll tell you, I would be very, very comfortable handing this knife off or getting one of these knives and handing it to my son or my oldest grandson if they were going on a camping trip. Again, it's user-friendly. It comes sharp. It's durable. It has a 90-degree spine. It is user-friendly, very comfortable in hand. That's just kind of a drag pull. You'll see me do that on a lot of different materials. It's a way to kind of test the edge for me to see if it's sharp from stem to stern, if you will. Overall, I'm looking forward to doing more Pathfinder knives. I really am. Now, I believe Dave said these were water jetted out, and then they do all the grinds, the handles, all that by hand. I'll put a link to this particular knife in the description, and you can go to their store, Self-Reliance Outfitters. I'm going to try to get Dave on Blade Talk with Scab and Joe. One of the things that stuck out with me in the interview with him was he said 2, if not 3 times, he is not a believer when designing a knife at just throwing stuff against the wall and watching it stick. They're purpose driven. I like that. I like that. We live in the golden age of knives. You can get a knife that'll do anything in the world, and you get all kind of crazy knife. This is a user-friendly, well-made knife. There'll be a link in the description. Now, guys, it's Veterans Day, and y'all know on this channel we're a big supporter of veterans. In fact, I use this channel a lot to try to raise awareness for 22 a day, veteran suicide. In fact, there was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Now, stats are all over the place. We're coming off a weekend. The number's higher. We're headed into the holidays. The numbers are going to be higher. That's why here on this channel, we focus on the number 0. Anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. Vets, we love you. Man, you have a place here. Guys, I back the blue. It's not popular, and that's okay. That's all right. I wasn't popular in high school. I'm not popular now. I'm not going to argue with you. It's something I believe in, and this is the only time I mention it. Finally, If you are an addict, and Lord knows I am, and this is very important, guys, never quit quitting. Stay in the fight. It'll take one time. Just stay in the fight. Listen, I'm scared. You're not. The Pathfinder Kephart. It's badass, son. We gone.